Today we're continuing our series on women's health, and specifically we're going to be talking about gut health. So this is something that I find really, really interesting because I've experienced firsthand how caring for your gut can transform things like immunity, digestion, and hormone regulation. So this is a topic that's actually important for all of us, but especially for those who have struggled with gut issues. And over the years, we've actually seen an influx in people cutting things out like sugar and gluten, and there's been a boom in people making things like sourdough. So where does this all come from and why does it matter? That's what we're going to talk about today. So go ahead and pull up a seat, grab a cup of coffee or matcha, and let's begin. I did it!
That was so good! Nice! That was great!
Now, Andrea, This is something that you have learned a lot about in your experience of healing your gut. So can you tell us, where did your journey begin? When did your gut issues first start?
My gut issues started probably like right before I got married. So about 2015. Yeah, that's kind of crazy how long ago it was, but I would say roughly about a year before marriage.
Mm-hmm. So before that point, you never like experienced any specific things?
No,
I really didn't. You could eat anything, you could do anything, you were fine.
Yeah.
So then what were the specific symptoms you were feeling? Like when you say you had gut issues, like what was that? And when did you first notice that start happening?
You know, I honestly don't remember like exactly the beginning, but what I can tell you is the symptoms, it was gas, it was severe bloating, cramping, and I would say at its peak, and it didn't take long. I feel like they started and then pretty quickly it was very severe. Wow. It got to the point where I was like literally doubled over in pain. Like I would eat, 15 minutes later, I would physically be like doubled over because I had so much pain in my stomach. I would say, I think you both know this story, but probably the pinnacle of me realizing, okay, there's a serious problem was the day after we got married.
Please tell the story.
Yes.
So for those
to give a little bit of, I think, explanation, obviously we'll get into like really what kind of caused all this, but I think I am not someone who likes to be the center of attention. So obviously my wedding day was exactly that. I was not very comfortable. I had literally like a physically tight dress on, right? So it's like constricting my breathing. It's constricting my stomach. And we had pasta, we had donuts, we had a crap ton of gluten at our wedding.
Yeah.
And then of course, all of the exciting nerves, right? So it was like a perfect storm of like healthy excitement, healthy stress, unhealthy stress because I didn't want to be the center of attention, physical like tightness, and then all of the food.
Yeah. Oh,
and so,
Okay, you said that it started the year before you guys got married.
Yeah, roughly.
So was it, when that started, had the stress of like wedding planning and everything already kicked in?
Yeah, I would say definitely. 100%. I hated wedding planning.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it was like, going back, there was so much stress. And that's something I'm going to talk about a lot today is stress was absolutely the trigger of all this. 100%. I believe it was this. And sure, there might have been some like underlying GI things that I didn't know about that maybe were going to manifest at some point, or maybe they never would have. But because of all the stress in my life about a year before, and then of course, and I had symptoms leading up to this, and then the day of the wedding and the day after, and then all of this stuff happened. And I was like, okay, well, this is not normal. So going back to the wedding day, all these things, the next morning, it's probably like, I don't even know, 4 a.m. Poor Jay. He wakes up to me literally doubled over in the bed, pale as a ghost.
Oh my gosh.
Like cold sweats. I'm literally like moaning, barely making a sound. And he's like, what in the heck is happening? Poor kid just gets me handed over from my dad. Oh, and it's like, oh my God, my wife is going to die. My wife is going to die. Oh, no. And so anyway, I had such a severe reaction. And my gut was in like such inflammation and pain that I literally like was almost unconscious. I was like, eyes were rolling in the back of my head. Jay, literally, I'm like, I remember him being like, can you say my name? And I could barely like be like, Jay. So anyway, all this, this transpiring, he's literally calling 911, an ambulance comes, we go to the hospital. And by the time we get there, I'm like feeling better. I'm able to like get up and walk. And by that point, my symptoms had pretty much subsided. I was just exhausted. They give me an IV. I'm also out of state. So it's not even like, they can really do all that much. They're like, yeah, go home and like, we recommend you go get like a scope and check out what's going on. They just give me an IV and we go to New Zealand the next day.
Wow.
And I was fine. I was like fine
You're
for those
okay.
like few weeks.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Were you nervous going?
I
sure.
think my youth made me not nervous.
I was just gonna ask,
Yeah,
how old were you?
I know. I would
Yeah,
be like, oh, I
no, I was,
can't do that.
I don't know, 24, and I was just like, whoa, we're going to New Zealand
yeah.
for 2 weeks. Yeah, thank God. I think,
gosh.
I know, right? I was literally like a fetus. My sister-in-law always says that we were fetuses. when we got
Fetus
married.
babies.
But yeah,
You
so
were a fetus. I was an embryo.
Stuff still in high
how
school.
old were you? Still in high school.
Stuff still in high school.
You want to get your parents' approval.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I was like barely 20. I had just turned 20. Anyway, it's not about.
My
It's not about.
gosh.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, we were.
Yeah.
we were-
So that
My
was
second life.
this is great.
Sorry. Okay.
So that was like the pinnacle
yeah.
where I was like,
Huge.
okay,
Yeah.
so like, yeah, this is like a big deal. Something's really going on.
So you come back.
Yeah, so I come
Okay.
back.
So New Zealand was okay. You
think,
come back. What's happening?
So at that point, like my symptoms, that's when what I described in the beginning was happening. So at this point, I'm realizing that I eat and then later on, I figure out what's causing this, right? So when I ate certain foods, like literally within 15 minutes, I am doubled over in pain. And like I said, this did start before I got married. Like I was still living at home with my parents, and I remember all these issues then, and they just continued into marriage. And it was so painful, so uncomfortable. I mean, it was also like a mix of like constipation, diarrhea. Like I'd be like in the bathroom for literally like 30 minutes. It was, and this was my day today. Literally every single day was this.
Wow.
Yeah, it was truly terrible. It was not a good way to live.
And you're also a newlywed.
Yeah.
So you're trying to navigate that. He's trying to like care for you.
Yeah.
And
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
not really knowing. Yeah, exactly. There was so much newness at the time too, right? Yeah, it was wild.
were you in school or working at the time?
Both.
Both. Mm-hmm. So you just have to like sneak away.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
even know.
I don't
I
know,
think
go to
I
the
got really
bathroom.
lucky. Not lucky. I think the Lord blessed me, and I usually like would go to the bathroom in the morning before I even left for work. Don't get me wrong. There were definitely times when I was at work, and it was like, well, I have to get away right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at that point, were you starting to pick up, okay, certain foods are the culprit and I need to like stay away from them? Or were you just kind of blind, going like you're just going day by day, blindly not knowing what's causing it and just hoping you're not going to have
That's like
an episode?
such a good question. I honestly don't remember exactly. It's
Okay.
it's kind
It's
of
been
a
a while.
blur.
Yeah.
Obviously, at some point I realized it, but it wasn't until later when I started seeing someone. I think I probably I had an interest in nutrition at this point, but I obviously wasn't in my journey of like going to school at all. I was going to school, but just like gen eds, random stuff. I didn't know what I wanted to pursue at the time. So I had an interest in nutrition. So I probably had a suspicion that maybe bread was doing something to me, because I also was obsessed with bread. I love bread. So I ate a lot of it, which was obviously great
Should've
for
brought
me.
your mug that said eat bread.
Oh, dang it. I should
that-
have.
She has a mug that says eat bread.
Eat bread.
Eat
Yeah.
bread. So, I think the reason I was asking, what you were feeling, what you were experiencing, even then when it started, is because I think a lot of people are probably experiencing these things and have these issues,
Yeah, right.
but they don't know where it's coming from and they're struggling. They don't know where to start. And so I think that's going to be an important part of the conversation too, for anyone that's listening. And maybe you're like, hey, I've had some of these issues, maybe not as severe or maybe just as severe. And so, I think that's where this next question, I really want you to just share emotionally, what was that like for you? Like going through that, like I said, you're a newlywed, you're trying to, do these classes, you're working and you're experiencing this kind of thing. You kind of have an idea of what's happening. What was that like emotionally for you in the initial days of navigating the challenges that you were facing while you were trying to find answers?
It's crazy because it's amazing how far technology has come in, what is that? Less than 10 years, or whatever, 8-ish years, right? But I'm like, had I been going through this now, it would have been a completely different scenario. I would have been flooded with information, good or bad, I don't know, right? I mean, I do know it'd be both. So it's interesting because back then I wasn't flooded with information. Obviously, social media was still a thing, but it's not what it is today.
Right.
And so I don't know. I just think that's like a fascinating aspect that really is different than if someone is dealing with this right now.
That's true.
I think people have more tools now, which is honestly amazing, right? Because now you can be like, why do I have bloating and cramping? And like you can kind of look things up and find things where before it was like, I wasn't even really aware. I was kind of living in a fog. I think I felt lost. Like emotionally, I felt confused, lost. I was discouraged. I was exhausted. I mean, if anybody's had any sort of physical pain, it really brings down your motivation, right? And so I think I was really struggling to be like, okay, I have to figure out what's going on. But I'm so exhausted. I don't know how I'm going to find the energy to figure this out. And like Jay he was very supportive of like, once I ended up finding someone, like he was supportive in that process and encouraging me to like go see her. But yeah, I mean, it was a very hard season of like feeling lost and just kind of, like I said, living in a fog too, right? Because I was going through so much that like, my gut was in so much distress and inflammation that like I was probably, looking back, a little dehydrated. I was probably not absorbing nutrients properly. So like I'm also fatigued on top of the physical pain, right? And trauma that my gut is going through. So yeah, it was just a big foggy
Layered.
mess. Yeah.
So curious, before we get into kind of the solutions and the holistic path that you went down, did you seek conventional help? Like, did you go to like the primary doctor, and what was that like? What did they say?
Yeah, I did. And I was pretty young. I think I might have gone before I was married. I don't remember, but either way, I was diagnosed with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, which is just this massive, ambiguous umbrella that doesn't really help you at all. I would say it kind of can be helpful, right? Like if they had suspected, actually, you know what? I was tested for celiac as well, which thank God was negative. So I think, IBS can be somewhat helpful if they are ruling other things out. That could be the culprit, right? Because then you're like, okay, well, it's not celiac. Oh, I don't have an ulcer. I don't, have all these other major things going on. So then at that point, then you're kind of thrown into this massive pool of information that isn't conclusive, right? Which is what I was thrown into is, okay, great, I have IBS. Well, that's not really helpful for me. Yeah. And so I honestly don't even remember what she said to me. I don't even know if she gave me any advice nutritionally at all. I think she might have given me a medication. I don't even remember, to be honest. Yeah. So yeah, it was royally unhelpful.
Yeah.
Other than the fact, like I said, that it eliminated any major stuff. Yeah. So that was one good thing. And I would recommend that, like, get things checked out and make sure you don't have something major happening, because everything else is going to be pointless. Like if you do have celiac, if you do have ulcers, like you need to address those things first. So
that's good to know. So you knew you didn't have celiac disease.
Yep.
Which is different than just having a gluten and like
Yes, very
there's
different.
gluten intolerance and there's having celiac disease.
It's an actual autoimmune disorder towards gluten.
Okay.
Yeah, so your body legitimately is like gluten is an intruder and causes absolutely wreaks havoc on your GI system if you have gluten.
Wow.
It is like it's like you can't have cross contamination.
Wait, that's celiac that you're speaking
That's celiac.
of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's much more severe. And people are born with celiac?
You know what? I actually don't know if you're born with. I think it's common. I could be wrong, but I believe it's more common for it to come up younger.
Okay. Yeah, because if it's
But yeah, don't quote me on that.
No, I don't know. Yeah. So,
But I believe so. Yeah.
so you go seek conventional help, and then when did you start to seek out holistic treatment?
So I was doing hair at the time, and I had a former classmate that was a client, and she actually had Lyme's disease, and we were talking about things, and I must have been talking to her about some of the things I was dealing with. And she ended up telling me about this woman and said, the girl had been to tons of doctors for this. And she was like, honestly, this woman has helped me more than anyone so far. Like, here's her information. So I ended up looking into her and just kind of like, I definitely tried it with caution just because I think we're just, first of all, you have to, I think, tread with caution no matter who the healthcare provider is. But I think because Western culture really doesn't dabble into holistic stuff, it's even more like, what are you doing here? Like, what kind of stuff are you practicing?
Yeah.
So, ended up moving forward with her, which I think that's even in episodes that we've talked about with women's health in general. I really feel like that's the biggest thing, right? You have to advocate for yourself. And then it's a messy process. It just is. Trying to find a healthcare provider, trying to find the right route for you, trying to sift through the information. It's super difficult and messy, period. It's not going to be easy. But I think the only way to handle it is to go through it and to take everything you have. And so I took this information on this woman. I walked with the Lord and was like, Lord, reveal to me if this is the path you want me to take. Give me peace if this is the way you want me to head, right? Because I think now, that's the only way. I had to process through this from last week, and I'm like, that's the only way I could really encourage people to handle this stuff is it is information overload, period. We're going to be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And so at some point, you just have to bring the information you have to the throne of Jesus and just say, God, lead me where I'm supposed to go. I'm lost. I have no idea what to do. Lead my path. And so this woman was 100% my path. So I see her and she takes a totally different approach to things. And we go through...
Praise God.
Oh, praise God. And she was Christian too. And I remember her saying to me, because we ended up obviously sharing that we were both believers. She's like, I just want you to know. She's like, I am not calling on the universe for anything. She's like, I am calling on the name of on Jesus Christ for all things. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lord.
Right.
So that was such a blessing to find her. But yeah, she walked me through so many different things, lifestyle changes. Do you want me to jump into those things?
So actually, before you jump into what she did specifically, did she do any testing? Was there anything she did to narrow down? I know sometimes I've heard holistic, especially with gut stuff, they'll do things like stool samples.
Yes, we did.
They do things like that, and then they can kind of see what's happening in your gut. So I don't know. I was just
Oh
curious.
my God.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you asked that because I forgot. I was trying to think of the things she did because we did a few different things. Yes. So we did a stool sample and a urine sample. And again, the things that she tested were wildly different. I wish I might have this information, but again, this was before my days as a dietitian. So I don't even remember all the things that she did, but I remember her seeing these markers of inflammation caused by gluten. And she said I was the worst person she had ever seen. She's like, and that's when she said, you should probably go get tested for celiac. And at that point I ended up getting tested and thankfully
Got
didn't
it.
have it.
Got it. Yep.
But she was like, oh yeah, it's really, really bad.
Wow.
So yeah, we had a lot of actual scientific markers to work with, but it was a different panel. I don't really know what she ran. Yeah.
So from that, she then has this data, and how did she kind of create like a custom plan of treatment for you, or like recommendations? Like, what was that whole process like? And then I'd love to hear, because I bet anyone listen. I mean, if I was listening and I had gut issues, or even just in general, I would want to know the specifics. Like, Andrea, what are you avoiding, and what did you start to implement? What were the things you were starting to eat or do that helped?
Yeah. So I saw her for quite some time. We did a lot of work, and that's what's so beautiful about holistic. Is she didn't simply do the thing where it's, here's a printout of a piece of paper of things that you need to add or cut out to your diet. It was really a lot more work than that. Holistically working together. Honestly, like, I'll get into the more practical food things in a minute, but one of the craziest things that she did, like, the Lord was speaking to her, because there would be moments where we'd be sitting together and talking about whatever, the relevant things that we're talking about. And she would be like, I'm getting something about, let's say it was 2015, like roughly in the summer with like your mom. And I was like, the fuck? And literally, like, it was, these things were so legit. And then she said something later about, like, I'm getting something about your brother. And it was, these literally were moments of unresolved stress, like things that I needed healing from.
Wow.
And so we ended up like getting into that, and she encouraged me. She's like, I would really encourage you to like sit with the Lord and let him bring you to moments and like receive healing. And honestly,
these are like prophetic moments happening in your medical like encounter with her.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm like, how beautiful is that?
Yeah.
Like, holistic being, right? We are spiritual, we are physical. Like,
how good of God to just put someone with that gifting in that space too. Wow. Okay.
I know.
Sorry.
That's
so cool.
So like, that was a major, like, first of all, incredibly unexpected. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like, this is not what I'm thinking I'm getting myself into, right? And so I end up doing this. I'm sitting with the Lord, and I'm just like, there were so many different, in my mind, these moments that I'm like, what is it? Like, what do I need to go to? And so I just sat before him and was like, Jesus, take me where I need to go. And he took me to a specific moment, and that I needed healing. And I literally relived the moment, so real. Wow. And I just sobbed. I wept in his presence. He was there, and he was like, this is where I was, and this is where I wanted to be in that moment. And it was like zero shame, but like, here I am now, and just washed over me, completely healed me of this moment. And to be completely honest, like, I really think that is like a key that people miss when it comes to gut
I've
issues.
never heard anyone connect the physiological side with the biological in that way.
Yeah,
like trauma or just pain, resentment, whatever it might be that you hold on to. The body keeps score. Yeah,
it absolutely does, and it's so underestimated. And I'm so blessed, because I wouldn't have known the power of this had I not experienced it. And so that was probably the most powerful thing, was recognizing how our bodies, like you said, keep score, and that they hold on to stress. And so honestly, that's something moving forward that I have had to be, that I'm aware of now, that I'm like, oh my God, it's stress. Like, stress is causing this. So that was a big tool that I am like eternally grateful for. Other things that she did with me, we did do a very in-depth like food log. And she had questions I hadn't really seen before, but it was like, I would write down what I ate, and then about a couple hours later, I would like log these symptoms, basically like, do I feel full? Do I want like a snack? Do I feel gas? Do I feel emotionally tired. Like, again, this holistic approach to how am I physically feeling, but how am I emotionally feeling after this meal? Yeah. And so we did this for quite some time. And so we would look and we would dig and we would be able to point out like, okay, so this is actually what's satiating you more. This is how you felt after you ate this, or like, oh, you felt really hungry right away, or like you were feeling cramping after this. And so that's something I would totally recommend. We use that as dietitians, food logs. I just really appreciated how detailed she was. And so that really helped us to find trends in my diet, things that were causing issues, and also going back to like the stool sample and the urine sample, we were able to see like, oh, my gut's massively inflamed, right? And so, yep. Concrete information is important, right? And so at that point, we also then said, okay, well, the foods that are going to cause inflammation are going to be gluten, your dairy products, and all of like your legumes. So I ended up cutting out all of these things because it was just in such like a rage state. That
so literally anything that can cause any form of inflammation. Bye-bye.
Which is essentially the paleo diet.
Oh,
okay. The paleo diet cuts out like all of the things that are inflammatory triggering.
Okay.
So I did that for quite some time. I would say I probably did that for like a couple of years.
Okay.
So that was something practical that I did, which was a tremendous help. And then on top of that, I did take a lot of supplements at the time as well. So she had me on like a multivitamin, a multimineral. She had me on a probiotic, a digestive enzyme, and other things that are just not used in even as a dietitian or like Western medicine. I don't even remember what they were for, to be honest. I think one of them was to help support like the adrenal gland. But like, I'll tell you what, they really did make a massive difference, which I'm not gonna lie, is hard for me because as a dietitian, I'm also like, I am such a food first person. I want you to get your vitamins and minerals from food.
Yeah.
Ideally. And I think in a healthy person, that is what I recommend. But for someone that's dealing with what I was dealing with or is in a very severe state, obviously measures need to be taken, right?
You needed a hard reset.
Yeah, exactly.
When you started making the switch to paleo or just any other transition, even before that, were you ever like, was your immunity thrown off? Like, were you getting sick a lot? Do you remember? I know it was a long time ago.
I don't remember that.
The only reason why I ask is because I was briefly, so I think it was... Gosh, what's the magazine? They did an entire issue on inflammation.
Women's Health?
Yep.
No,
Health
bigger
One?
than that. It's like a time.
Is it like health related?
It is health related, but no. The magazine isn't. But they did an entire issue that it's not important. I'll look
Cosmopolitan? Just kidding.
it's like one of those magazines. We'll look it up. Anyway, they did an entire issue on just inflammation, and something that I didn't know was your body, there's this sweet spot where your body still needs inflammation. Like,
interesting.
It's almost like bacteria, right? You need good bacteria.
True.
So you need both. And so I was just confused because I'm like, our body needs a certain level of inflammation still to keep us healthy. So I'm just wondering, like, what if going that extreme, like if there were any like actual changes in your body, because the inflammation actually the correct level helps your body like fight off things like infection and stuff.
Well, because like even if you think about like a cut, right? Like if you were to cut yourself, your skin is supposed to inflame
to protect
because it's bringing the proper cells to the site of healing. So, but I don't remember.
Okay.
Like you don't remember being, I mean, you would have probably, if it wasn't an issue, you probably would have remembered being like sick all the time.
Probably because I was like so unwell that I was like, this is glorious.
So you're not.
No, I wasn't dealing with sickness that I can remember though.
Wow.
Yeah. So you started to see results. You did it for about 2 years, kind of that strict diet.
Yeah.
Did you kind of get to a point where you said, I don't know if I need to be going this hard. Maybe I can start to reintroduce things. What was that process like?
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, and the further I was getting into like learning about nutrition, I'm like, okay, this is not healthy. Like these foods are healthy. They have vitamins and minerals that are very important. And I'm cutting out so much of this. And so gluten was like, because I knew my markers were so insanely high, I thought I would never touch gluten in my life ever again. So I think I don't remember which one I started with. Probably dairy is my guess. And I just was slow. I was gentle with it. And then I think I just did dairy, and then I like dabbled into beans slowly as well. And I think I still did have some discomfort from it a little bit, but not like it had been to where I was like, okay, I can handle this.
Yeah.
Right. Because the inflammation was so insane and it was coming down. I was doing well. And I'm like, okay, this is a healthy thing to start reintroducing these things now that we have like a little bit of a good situation going on. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And started cutting back the supplements that I was taking as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you had been taking probiotics. Were you trying to eat things that were high in
I don't think I was.
So, but do you think the probiotics alone, after like about 2 years, was your gut in a healthier space as far as your gut bacteria and things? So like, because isn't gut bacteria really important for helping us digest and things like that? Yeah. So that's where I go, well, if you were able to tolerate it better, was that also linked to the fact that maybe your gut was just healthier?
Absolutely.
Like your gut bacteria.
Absolutely. I totally believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was the break, right? From the inflammation, all of the things that were causing the inflammation mixed with taking the supplements, right? Because not only was I was eliminating things from my diet, so then I wasn't getting certain vitamins and minerals. So then I was taking the vitamins and minerals on top of the probiotic, on top of the digestive enzymes to help ease the whole system, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think all of those things worked together to just like mend and create a healthy environment again to tolerate.
Yeah. No, that's super helpful. Like my mind goes to a place of like, okay, you were in a very unique situation. You were going through severe discomfort, pain, and then you had this incredible person come alongside you who didn't rush through finding a solution. She took time to not only take a log of everything you're eating for an extended period of time, but she was also looking at the physiological, the spiritual, the mental, all of those things that might be so you had a very special case, right? Yeah. So if someone is experiencing some of those things, they might say, okay, cool, why don't I just do that? Why don't I just cut everything out and take a bunch of supplements? So how would you caution someone? Because that was a very severe jump, like what you did, but you were doing it very, very cautiously and with someone honestly overlooking and what do you call it?
Overlooking the process, oversight.
You had someone overseeing the whole process and you kind of moved slow, and then you started to get to this point where you're, doing the paleo diet and taking these supplements. So how would you caution someone to either proceed slowly? Would you encourage them to seek help? Maybe someone doesn't know where to get help. Maybe someone can't afford help, because I'm assuming that costs you something. Absolutely. Anytime you do this type, any holistic approach, that's not going to be covered most likely by insurance. And I've looked into before even a similar care, what would you call them? What are they called?
Like a healthcare provider.
I've looked to a similar holistic care provider, and the cost even to do those testings and samples can be pretty high. Yeah. So for some people, they look at that as an investment and they will budget it and they can do it. But other people can't. So what would you say? How would you caution someone to do that?
I wish I had perfect advice.
I know. I honestly just want to hear it doesn't need to be perfect. I want to hear just where do they start? Like what could someone do?
No, and I completely agree with you, because we spent a lot of money. We did. Absolutely. And again, Jay was supportive of me pursuing this. Yeah. So absolutely. And the hard thing is, the beauty is she didn't rush me. Yeah. Well, the hard part is it was a lot of money. Yeah. Right? Because we did see her for so long. Yeah. It sucks. Right? It's just like one of those things where like, if I would say this, we are not well off. Like, we do not make a lot of money. We didn't make a lot of money. We're not poor, but we weren't well off either. And so I would say, yes, we had the funds, clearly, right? But we also were like, for us, it was worth the priority. We said, this is something that needs to come up
right.
because, again, like the Lord just led me to that path and I felt peace about it and he supported it. And we just budgeted hard. We did. So I would say that to start. I would also say I absolutely do not recommend people go hard. Like, do not just go take supplements. Do not just buy things and go take them. Do not just cut things out when you're not being monitored. Yeah. It's hard because you're like, well, then who the heck do I have to monitor me? I would say do go see your doctor and ask about maybe if there is a test that needs to be done to eliminate diagnoses, right? And then on the other hand, obviously as a dietitian, I would recommend a dietitian. Like even I haven't worked with this, but I have friends who work for Nourish, which is an online like dietitian. And I'm pretty sure they also cover insurance.
I did look at it. They did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can get insurance.
Okay.
Yep, covered.
And so I don't know. I imagine you can go in and probably say specifically what you're dealing with and if somebody is more specialized in GI disorders. So that would be my first thing is eliminate major diagnoses. And I would recommend going to see a dietitian or go find a natural, different alternative person that if you can afford that or if you trust it, right? And be monitored 100%. Like walk with somebody who can see what's happening, who can test you and have actual information about what's going on in your body. Because if you just start, it could really cause damage if you just start eliminating things and taking supplements. And on the supplement topic too, I would say if you are taking something, like look at the label. And look online and see for your gender and for your age what you should actually be getting from each dose. Because a lot of these supplements pump it way too high and it's just highly unnecessary and can cause major problems. So it's definitely a misconception that like, oh, you'll just pee out your vitamins. Some of them, yes, you do pee out excessive, but other ones, no. And you actually can cause major problems. We've talked about this, right?
Yeah.
We talked about this way back. So
right. And not all supplements are the same, like where you're getting them from, how they're made, every body handles them differently too. So it's not a one size fits all.
Scams.
Yes.
Amazon scams.
Truly.
Yes.
And I think
so sad.
Yeah, and like going back to if you're going to do something out of the norm, right? If you're eating a normal food, well, obviously God designed it to be the proper amount of vitamins and minerals, right? For your body to digest with everything that the food has in it. Obviously, that's like a whole nother topic is our food has been kind of destroyed by like a lot of minerals are stripped out of it. Our soil isn't rich. And that's a whole different topic. But trusting like the food has what you need. So when you take this bottle and you look at this little pill and you're like, why? We shouldn't just trust this thing. I guess this is what I'm saying. Don't just trust this little pill. Like, look at the bottle, look at the source of where it's coming from, and do your due diligence to make sure, like, it's the right amount for your body.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add? Okay. I just wanted to say, this makes me think about, too, Garrett and I have talked about how all these things that we're talking about are an investment and there will be a sacrifice. So if you were going to invest in, let's say, this holistic doctor or in good food, organic food or just healthy food, supplements, good supplements, all these things are an investment. And for that period of time, like you said, you weren't well off, but you were doing that and there had to have been a sacrifice. And it was a season. It wasn't going to be a permanent thing. It was a season to get your body in a certain place so that you could function properly, so that you could, because it was probably affecting things like your relationships, your marriage. I'm sure. I mean, if you let it just keep going, where would you be today? Dude. So I do think there's so much value in looking at these resets. It's going to look different for every single person. I mean, we just did a whole series on cycle syncing. It's something, we'll be releasing, and even looking at things like that as these seasons that we can take to really be intentional about these resets. And they will require more intentional living. They will require investment, sacrifice. But Garrett and I have talked about it, and I remember him saying, if you don't invest in your health, you're going to be investing in medications down the line, sicknesses down the line, illnesses down the line. And so there is a level of, you might not look at it as something that's worth your money and your time now when you're young or, you know, somewhat healthy. But the truth is, if you don't care about these things now, if you don't try to understand your body now, and value it and put your resources into it now, then most likely you will have to do it later.
Yeah.
You know, and not in a great way, you know? So I just think that there's a way to look at it that is, it's an investment, you know, and it's going to be hard at times. There's going to be sacrifice, but the good news, and you are kind of a living example of this, is that investment was worth it. Because look at where you are now. You know, how would you describe your life now? How are you feeling? Do you still experience some of those same issues, or how do you walk through that when you do? And what has your journey been like now?
Yeah, I praise God, I barely have any symptoms anymore. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, you're proactively sacrificing, or later you're sacrificing, but you're not choosing to sacrifice.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yep.
Right? Because like your body, honestly, like the body's pretty amazing. Like I see people at the hospital that I'm like, how are you still alive? Honestly, like what you have gone through or what you've neglected your body. And I'm just like, the body's pretty dang resilient, you know? But at some point it catches up with you. Yeah. And so, yes, I agree with that totally. It's like either we can slow down and try to figure out what's going on, or you will pay for it later, you know, which is, again, like a whole nother topic that I think is the issue with our society, is we don't slow down and take a breath to try to figure out what's actually the root cause.
We want quick fixes.
Yes.
Like how long, sorry, I did actually want to ask the process that you guys walk through from your very first appointment with her up until your last. Do you know approximately how long that was?
That is a great question. I'm just going to guess it might have been like a year and a half.
Okay.
I could be real off, but it feels like a good average.
Yeah.
Give or take. Yeah. I felt like it was a significant amount of time. And I think what would happen was I was seeing her a lot in the beginning. And then we started stretching our appointments out and out and out and out until she was like, listen, I want you to not need me.
Is to not have to see
That's
you
great.
anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh.
Which is also,
yes.
That's kind of a different because we've talked about medication. We've talked about doctors on the show. And a lot of times, again, we've said they're practicing medicine. And a lot of times, not always, but there's a lot of medication that once you start it, it's kind of a lifetime thing. You're going to be on this medication. Yeah. There are a lot of medication situations and doctors that their goal is to it's a period of time. We're going to monitor these things. But for instance, like blood pressure medication, once you start blood pressure medication, I don't know a lot about blood pressure, but I do know, or high blood pressure, that you are going to be on it. And it's dangerous to get off of it once you've been on it for a long time. You have to be very, very careful. So it's encouraging when you see people like this natural path who their goal is truly to get you on your feet better and off. You know, they're not trying to scam you for more money or just make you dependent on them. They're really trying to find solutions that will last. Yeah. Which a lot of that came from empowering you through knowledge, understanding your body, finding the root cause. And as we've talked about before, the medical, all the medical industry, it's really geared to just help you to put Band-Aids over solutions a lot of times because they don't have the time. They don't have the time to sit like they did with you. I mean, they're not set up. They're not trained that way. I mean, how many times you've been sitting in a doctor's office and you sit there waiting for half an hour and then the doctor comes in for 2 minutes and then it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, this person actually sat with you and let you just weep before her. I mean, that's very, very
I didn't weep before her.
Oh.
That one was private.
But
I'm
she
sure
brought
I
that
did
out.
cry
It was
at times.
therapy, you know,
Yeah.
which I also thought was really, really special about that experience is the fact that she tied in the cognitive side of it, the deeper things that needed healing. And I do think that is a whole nother subject
Yeah.
we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of shifting gears a little bit as we wrap up, but can you explain a little bit about gluten intolerance? Where does this come from? And why do so many people struggle with gluten nowadays? Have they always struggled? And is it just now people are aware of it? Or is it something that's related more to the way flour and all that's being processed now? Like, what is up with gluten?
I feel like this is a topic that kind of reminds me of the IBS thing, where it's like we don't really know. Like, we don't really have a black and white answer as to why this is all happening.
Okay.
I think there's so many things now where it's like there are so many different factors. But to speak to that, yeah, so gluten is basically, it's just a protein in wheat. And yes, in the processing, the way that it has been changed and processed over time has literally changed the structure of gluten. And there's two different components. There's gliadin and glutenin. And the gliadin is the part that is the least tolerated. And so a lot of these changes in like breeding, the structure and the DNA of it, the gliadin is higher. So just in that process, it's less tolerable for people to eat. Also, I know like sourdough, right? So like breads are also made different. So breads used to be fermented. It was just the way it was. Like you didn't go to a store and you get a little packet of dry yeast. You know, like that's not the way that, our ancestors did not make bread that way. Right. So people used to get the fermenting benefits that sourdough gives you. And so obviously that's like a up and coming thing, but most people don't eat sourdough. And even we've talked about this too, like the sourdough in the stores isn't always long fermented to get like all of the same benefits that like a homemade loaf would get. So I think there's that aspect too, is it's being processed different and we eat bread different as well. Yeah. Too.
And that's why I've heard people can go to Europe. People who have gluten issues can go to Europe, eat bread and not have any of those issues come up. Because again, going back to the flour, like you said, the way it's being processed, the ingredients that are in the additives or not adding the additives, all of that, their body can handle it.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's funny because we were just, my in-laws, we were all in this like group thread about Europe and like what they allow food wise. In America, what we allow. And I have a brother-in-law who's from Turkey, and he's like, oh yeah, no, like this is definitely like so true. He's like, my family buys bread daily. They buy their food fresh, and my mom uses breadcrumbs the next day. Like he's like, bread doesn't even last a day because it's so fresh, right? I mean, you know, you make sourdough too.
Yeah,
it's
I'm like,
literally,
oh, wow. You better eat it.
I tried, and I really will try again, but man,
Oh,
I had
hard.
a starter.
It's getting hard in the winter time. I'll tell you that. I'm ready to give up.
No.
Yeah, though.
Seasons.
Yeah.
You'll have a season again where you're like, I'm going to
Sourdough
jump for it.
Yeah. And so like that is just the norm. It is just part of going to the lifestyle, right? A slower lifestyle where people, it's just normal that you would spend time making your own bread, where we don't feel rushed, that we have to have convenient things, right? So I think this is a big part of this GI issue though, is the lifestyle and the stress.
Yeah.
Because that is truly like, to answer the question, why gluten is less tolerated, 100% the DNA, the makeup of it, the breeding process, the way bread is made, for sure. But I also really think it has a lot to do with our stress, high anxiety lifestyles.
Wow,
and how many other people are living under stress and their gut is already like
which leads to more inflammation, right?
Exactly.
So more stress, more anxiety. We live in a culture, hustle culture. People there's so much more pressure. We have so much more anxiety, so much more stress because of the demands on our lives, but also the inundation of information, of social media. Our nervous systems are out of whack. We don't know how to self-regulate, all of these different things. So all of that, I would assume, would lead to inflammation in the gut and just make all of that harder to process and digest. We're not actually living in the fullness of what our body was designed to be. And from the things we're putting into it, the things we're doing, the rhythms we're living. So now we're experiencing the side effects of that, right? The negative repercussions. One thing I really do love about sourdough, and I joke about, I gave up on it, but I love that it's so community oriented. At least that's what I've seen, is everyone I know that is making sourdough and is doing it well is so passionate about it, and they want to teach other people about it. Like, I've heard you guys have conversations like, oh wait, how did you do this? And what did you do here? And you know, it's so cool because it's a skill, and you're actually getting to empower other people. I say people because men can learn sourdough too, but I just know women that do this. I'm sure there are men who are making sourdough out there. But it's so cool because it's a skill that you can pass on to your kids, that you can pass on to other people, other women. And I love literally the idea that you can have a starter and then give it to someone else, and it's this thing that lives on. This living thing that is like moving around, and we're just benefiting from it. It's so cool.
It's the bread of life. Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully you learned a ton. I know I did. Hopefully you'll join us next week as we continue our women's health series.